Welcome to Unscripted, where the story behind the journey matters most, where we don't just talk about headlines, politic movements, or public perception. We humanize the people behind them. I'm your host, Leslie Mota, and this show is sponsored by WACME. Tonight is not about labels. It's not about viral moments, media narratives, or reducing a human being to a photograph frozen in time. Because sometimes the world meets someone through controversy before it ever understands the person underneath it all. And what happens when someone becomes a symbol before they're fully seen as a human being? Tonight's conversation is about identity transformation, belief, pain, redemption, and the complicated relationship between public perception and personal truth. It's about what happens when someone walks through fire in front of the entire world, when millions form opinions about them without ever hearing the deeper story that shaped them. We live in a time where people are judged instantly, categorized instantly, discarded instantly. But beneath every headline is a human being carrying experiences, struggles, trauma, convictions, questions, and a search for meaning. Tonight's guest has lived through public scrutiny on a level very few people could even understand. A man whose image became one of the most recognizable symbols in modern American history, but whose life journey stretches far beyond one movement. From military service to spiritual exploration to activism to incarceration to rebuilding identity in the public eye, his story forces us to confront bigger questions about society, media, belief, systems, and the human need to belong to something greater than ourselves. Tonight, we go unscripted with Jake Angeli-Chansley. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you tonight?
I'm doing very well. That is probably the nicest and the most eloquent intro I have ever received. So thank you, Leslie.
You are very welcome. I am very glad that you like it. And first of all, I am very excited to have you on the show. And thank you for saying yes and coming on. I know that you must be a very busy, busy man.
Yes, and for many different reasons.
For many, many reasons. I mean, you just became this recognizable symbol, right? Let me ask you a question. What's it like knowing millions of people recognize your face, but very few actually know your story?
Well, the funny thing is, they don't even recognize my face without the horns and the face paint, but and that's kind of a comfort sometimes because it's almost like I have a secret identity. But the fact that they don't know my story is almost akin to that secret identity as well. But that
Mhm.
is a double-edged sword because where people are ignorant, they don't realize that that person might actually be able to save them or help them in society. They don't realize that these areas of their ignorance are part of the reason society is so distorted.
Oh, absolutely. And the more that we understand society, the more that we get into understanding what's happening in our current system, the more that we learn and the more that it's twisted. What when the world turns you into a symbol, how do you hold on to being human?
Very carefully. I would say that you cannot look for your identity in the black mirror of the cell phone or the television screen. That is
Yeah.
not a real accurate image. It's like a funny mirror. It's all distorted and warped. Learned by being thrust into the spotlight was how distorted the lens of perception for the public through the media actually is, how distorted that media lens, how distorted everybody's perception of individuals and situations actually is.
When I was doing research on your story, I knew who you were. The storming of the Capitol was such a big, huge event. But then the more that I started learning about your story, what a lot of people don't realize is like they classified you one way. But a lot of people don't know that, you actually, when you were inside the White House, you actually were helping, to yes,
Capitol, not
the
White House.
Capitol. The Capitol. You were actually helping, the police officers. You were doing great things. Now, let me back up a little bit. What crossed your mind to actually, say, I am going to dress up, I am going to storm the Capitol? And what was your thought process? What was your emotion? Like, what prompted and led you to that event?
Well, I've been dressing that way since I think 2013. I've been dressing in the horns and the face
Mhm.
paint, since 2013. It's a part of my activism. It's Yoka shamanism. I'm basically inverting our ended culture. So, like, you got politicians and lawyers and celebrities, all these people dressing up in suits and ties and standing in front of the camera doing the thing, and they're lying to everybody. Everything is really distorted and all screwed up, right? But you got somebody like me, a guy in horns and face paint with no shirt. He's got a sign and a staff going around how it is that we can not just repair the damage we've done, but create a better future for our children. It's an inversion of the society. I'm speaking truth, and I'm doing so in a way that shocks the cognitive system so that people remember. It's a way of planting.
Mhm.
It's like I said, it's Hioka shamanism. It's inverting the culture so as to open the minds of the people within it. Now, when it comes to what happened on January 6th, the reason January 6th and on December and in 2020 were very different from the reasons most other people were going. Number one, I was going to the Capitol because of the ley line system. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the electromagnetic pyramids and the obelisks and like how DC is built on ley lines. Are you familiar with all that?
I am kind of a conspiracy theorist and I've heard a lot about it, and I think that there is some truth to it.
Okay. So if there's going to be 1 million people assembled on the ley lines, that's a lot of energy being cycled through that area. If
Mhm.
1 million people assembled on the ley lines, it's my shamanic duty to make sure the highest possible frequencies of love, peace, and harmony are plugged into the system, plugged into the grid, right? And that's exactly what I did on December 12th and on January 6th. Believe it or not, like you said, actually trying to help. 30 seconds inside the building, I stopped somebody from stealing. This is evidenced through video footage. I also volunteered to help the police, and that's why they were escorting me around the building. And when I got out, when Donald Trump told everybody to go, angry mob trying to break into the Capitol and told everybody to go home, I played Donald Trump's tweet on my megaphone, told everybody to go home. I actually stopped people from breaking in. I was one of the first people to stop the rioting, but all in the media because it went counter to their. So my intentions were going in the building is actually very evident based on my actions. I was in there to stop vandalism, violence, and theft because I saw what was happening on the outside of the building. I understand that the Congress is like a temple. It's harmonic chamber. It's built on ley lines, and to have death and chaos in that harmonic chamber is actually it's very bad juju. It's not good as far as the timeline that it would create. So I went into the Senate and I was on the upper terrace and I sang my shamanic song, and then they snapped that close up, that one, that the headshot with where it looks like I'm screaming. I'm actually singing. I'm singing. I'm at the height of my shamanic. They snapped that photo, and I was in the chamber singing that shamanic song to cleanse the ley lines, and to do so in a way that was going to chase off evil spirits. Okay. Now the funny thing is that viral. So that image, when I was like climaxing in my shamanic song, chasing off the evil, it ended up going viral and ended up echoing literally all over the world.
Wow, that is amazing. So after you were doing all this good, and this is what is not shown on the media, this is not what the story that's being told. At what point did they decide to, you know what, we are going to go ahead and incarcerate you? We're going to take you to jail for this.
Okay, well, what a lot of people got to understand here is that there's a backstory that most people don't know. There's a whole history here that people have no idea about. For example, most people, especially Trump supporters, because I didn't tell, but I have the proof, and it's a part of my lawsuit that I have against the United States government, including Donald Trump, is that Donald Trump contacted me after January 6th. I have the proof. Donald Trump at NSA.gov contacted me at our Seed Academy website, and I think it was on January 8th. I have the screenshot. Like I said, it's a part of my lawsuit. So I had been working with the Trump administration for most of 2020 at the time. And so, I made it to DC. Little did I know when I was driving there for January 6th, Mike Pompeo's nephew actually was a part of the group of people that was I was going to DC with. And I had no idea that that was the case, the trip with the guy, and lo and behold, and this is where things get kind of interesting. Lo and behold, Mike Pompeo's nephew was right near the breach of the Capitol building where they were handing weapons inside. He had a photo of him taken that went viral. It had, it went all over the internet. It was in headlines, on newspapers and everything, but he never got arrested, never even got questioned by the feds. Okay. So if you want to talk about what led up to that and what my motivations were, we got to talk about that whole previous year. We got to talk about, how it is that all of this stuff happened beforehand, going all the way back to when I was contacted by the NSA. And these are things that most people don't know. But once again, this is the stuff that's in my lawsuit.
So you can't really speak about it? I can't ask you questions about it? Okay.
No, go ahead.
So you're saying that there's already things that happen a year or years prior that led up to the point where you decided to go to the Capitol. Can you tell us some of those things that are in your lawsuit?
Sure, absolutely. Are you familiar with the term gang stalking?
Yes.
Okay, so I was being gang stalked since 2007. It was right around the time that I was about to publish my book, One Mind at a Time, A Deep State of Illusion. And it's because of how explosive that book actually is. It's basically like, if the deep state were like hiding under, allows you to lift up the rock and go, hey, what's under here? Okay. So when they contacted me, they did so covertly. They used Michelle Rodriguez as it's like get my attention on Facebook because she's my celebrity crush, right? So they used her as like a catfish account to get my attention, and then lured me into this trap, bang stalking me, and like MK Ultra kind of shit. Are you familiar with psychotronic weapons? Yeah, Havana syndrome.
Yes, I literally am a conspiracy theorist. Yes, so I've gone down the rabbit hole on so much of this stuff.
Okay, so then you're speaking my language, okay? So basically what they did is they lured me in.
Fascinates me. So
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
What did you say?
No, I was going to say all this stuff fascinates me. And, I think that there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. I think there's also a lot of truth about some of the shows that are out there, about the entities within the entities within, the entities that we don't even know about in the government. And, that led me into doing a lot of research for a conspiracy theorist show that we have. And, we learned a lot about the government and certain entities that we don't even talk about, or, they'll come knocking on your door. But I'm like, by all means, come knocking on my door.
Yeah, like MIB, basically. Yeah, like Men in Black. Exactly. I've been going through that kind of shit since 2017. And it's been, what's interesting about it is that it's been like in phases. The harassment was mild at first, but then as I continued to try to be more and more of an activist and try to create more or affect more and more change, i.e. end the child sex trafficking trade, i.e. end the Fed, i.e. change the system, get us free energy, get us cures for cancer, that kind of stuff, the system began to systematically destroy my life. Whether it be getting me kicked out of my apartment under false allegations, or it be things like stealing $100,000 worth of cryptocurrency straight from my laptop. That's in my lawsuit as well, or it be other things, like making me think that my celebrity crush is interested in me when it turns out it's just a catfish, just in the fucking NSA messing with my fucking mind. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. That's really fucked up,
So when did this gang stalking start? And just we might have people that are not even familiar with that phrase or anything, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of that is, a belief, or not a belief, but the idea that you're being followed, monitored, harassed, and targeted by a group of people over time. Now, did all this start when you started writing your book? Now, I was just looking up, and I do see that you do have One Mind at a Time, A Deep State of Illusion. And this was published, June 18, 2022. Do you have one book or two? I'm pulling up two. Will and
I have
Power.
three.
You
I have
have
three.
three. Okay, yeah, I see it. So
Two of them are on Amazon, but the thing is that I'm going to start putting the other two, those that are on Amazon, on barnesandnoble.com as well, because that's where you can get my book Lips. That's my newest one that I just came out with. That one is a knock out of the park. All right, it's a grand slam, so to speak. But One Mind at a Time and Will and Power are the one on Amazon, but they haven't cut me a check in over a year or two, actually. They haven't even allowed me onto my website so I can monitor the book sales. They haven't allowed me, at all onto my own account. So that just speaks volumes about Amazon. But the whole, in all honesty, I kind of want to move away from the gang stalking that took place prior to January 6th. And I kind of want to get into how it evolved in the modern times, because the modern experience of my gang more pertinent than what I was going through. I mean, granted, what I was going through before is a part of my lawsuit, but
yeah,
what I have now, what has happened to me recently is the stuff that I have, like what I guess you could say concrete proof of.
yes. Well, let's get into that. Tell us about
Okay.
that.
Well, let's start with, just like I was telling you before, I was advising the president early 2020. Okay. From then on. All right. After January 6th, I get a message from the Donald Trump at NSA.gov. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't respond to it because I want to play one of the feds. If they say, have you ever contacted the president? I want to be able to say no. Never had contact with him directly. No. And the thing is, I had never really had direct contact with him. All of my contact was indirect contact. Directly responded to his direct message, so I wasn't lying. Anyway, after I got out of prison and he started running for president, I used essentially the same back channels that I was using in 2019 and 2020, the same back called WinRed, or it's not an app, but like a website or something. It's what Trump was using to send out his surveys and collect donations during his campaign. Okay. And he would send out surveys and then offer people the opportunity to write something in the comments, right? And sometimes it would be a sentence that you could fill. Sometimes it could be a whole paragraph, shit, a whole book. In some cases, no limit to the character. But you also had to, send in a donation. And I was giving advice, and I was noticing my advice was being taken, not like what it was before. A good example, when he kept going on Fox News, okay, and early in his campaign, and I'm like, bro, you need to quit going on Fox News. I'll stab you in the back. Fuck those people. Only old people watch Fox News. I said, you need to go on podcasts. I said, you need to go on Rogan. You need to do a podcast tour. People need to get to know you. then, you might win the youth vote. And a day or two later, he announces a podcast tour and says he's going on Joe Rogan, and I was like, okay, cool, taking my advice. All right. Other examples. So 2 weeks in office, right? I said to him, look, we got all these people in the country, these, whether they be cartel members or terrorists or whatever, all these people in the country illegally trying to do us harm. You got to, get in office. You got to say to these people, hey, what do I got to tell you to get you to leave willingly? Like, what do I got to say to these people to make them believe any moment that they are in America while Donald Trump is president, that they're behind enemy lines? You got to say to get them to leave willingly, so that we don't have to go and find them, so that we don't have to expend our resources, so that we don't have to have violence or conflict or whatever. These people leave willingly, yada, yada, yada. 2 weeks. I kept bringing that up. You got 2 weeks. What are you going to do? What you got to do is you got to put it on them. What are you going to do? You got 2 weeks to get the fuck out, basically. And I said, this is basically a plan to help save American lives, help us save American resources, help save American life, and believe it or not, also help save the people that are, we kick out violently, right? No bloodshed necessary. Yeah. Then, seriously, not even like 3 hours later, I think I sent my message at 9 a.m. and I think it was at Prince, and said that if all hostages are not released, all of Hamas's hostages are not released within 2 weeks, all hell's going to break loose in the Middle East. And that's all he's going to say. All hell's going to break loose, hostages in 2 weeks. All hell's going to break loose in the Middle East. And that's all he said. And I was like, wow. So hold on a second. I threw this idea out there to help Americans and help keep Americans safe, and you're using this to help Israel. Okay, that's interesting. And not just help Israel, but scare, in the process, mind you, scare the shit out of people worldwide that don't want war, mind you. Okay, so my thinking is like, wow, okay, I'm, a little skeptical, but just going along. I mean, I got the president's fucking ear. I'm doing my best to try to help here. Another example.
Yeah.
I was sending them biblical quotes. I was giving them advice. I was, talking about how the Masonic lodges were set. The building was a harmonic chamber, and how it was all designed to channel energy to, be channeled into the obelisk, through the ley line system, and, affect the ether and all this stuff. I was explaining this shit to him, and explaining why speaking in those harmonic chambers is so important, because it has a ripple effect in the ether. It has a ripple effect in the hearts and minds of men and women, and thus, all of creation. So they last minute changed the inauguration being outside to being where? Inside the dome of the Capitol building in the harmonic chamber. And then they're saying all these quotes that I was sending them, all these biblical quotes that I was sending them in these back channels. Okay. And I'll give you another example. They finally get in office, and I shit you not, I was running the country from my phone. Okay. 2 messages a day. And that's how I was writing. I was running the fucking country, telling them, do that, you got to do here, this is what you got to do there, blah, 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 blah. All right. It was that fucking easy. I kid you not. And then, so one of the things that I'll give you an example of is, I said, look, these Epstein files got to come out. We have to release them. You promised everybody you were going to, this is what you got to do. I said, the Epstein files is hundreds of thousands, if not millions of documents. So what you got to do is you got the Epstein pie here. You got to cut the Epstein pie up into a bunch of slices, and then you give each different influencer, Republican and Democrat, bipartisan, you give each of these different influencers a different piece of the Epstein pie. They and their people will dissect that piece. They will devour it. They will dissect it. They will spread it around amongst their group, and different people all over the country, these different influencers with a different piece of the pie, different audiences. Everybody's talking. We all eat the pie within a matter of a month. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody's up to date. We got it all out. No big deal, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens? Pam Bondi does that shit with and it's just a total flop. And I'm just like, what the fuck is the matter with these people? Like, are you trying to screw this up? Like, are you trying? And the answer was yes. They were working for fucking Israel. They were trying to destroy, doing this on purpose. And that's the thing. I found that out along the way, because I kept hitting on, fuck Israel, fuck Israel, fuck Israel. For example, when BB came and Donald Trump talked about Gaza, and BB was all shocked and shit.
Yes.
That was because I was telling Trump, dude, these people are evil, they're crazy. You got to do something to save the people of Gaza because they're going to wipe these people out, and you don't want that on your soul. If you're working with these people, you're complicit in genocide, you got to do something. And that's when he said he was going to buy Gaza. Obviously, he doesn't give a shit. But point is, these are the things that were taking place. But here's the thing. It was all behind the curtain, right? They didn't want horns and face paint was calling the shots. All right. They didn't want the crazy guy in horns and face paint being smarter than everybody, telling everybody in DC how to do their job better than they could. All right. And I'll give you one more example of how long and stealing my ideas. All right. When I ran for office, I ran for Congress in 2023. I had a campaign platform of 4 things. I went on Newsmax on November 13th. 2023, and I promised 4 things of the American single bill voting law. It's the first thing we do. Single bill voting law. Number 2, term limits for congressmen and staff. Number 3, we were going to ban lobbying. Number 4, we were going to have $1 million fines, prosecution, caught insider trading. Okay, I think everybody can get behind that, right? That was my campaign platform. I said it on November 13th, and then on November 29th, Representative, a Democrat from California, a Republican from Florida, get together on this anti-corruption plan that just so happens to be 3 out of the 4 things that is my campaign platform. They don't do anything with it. They just throw it out. And then they just send our money to Israel, send our money to Ukraine, send our money to Israel, send our money to Ukraine, right? They passed the Biden budget, nothing about the anti-corruption plan. So this is how I know that these people are entirely full of shit. And this is why all this stuff in my lawsuit is so important, because I had this track record of trying to fix the country and the very clear track record of that.
So at what point, you're doing all of this and it seems like you were on the right track, and, they're listening to you, they're putting things out there, he's quoting, going on podcasts, etc. At what point was there that break where it's like, okay, then the wall goes up, then you disassociate from all that, or how did they push you out?
What it really, Israel and Epstein, Israel and the Epstein client list. That's what it really came down to. They, a number of other things that kind of like all perfect storm, they all kind of collided and coincided. Came down to was the Epstein client list. It came down to the Epstein files, and my desire to give people infinite energy and cures for cancer. I'll give you another example of what the break with them. They're taking all of my advice, all of these other areas. I'm noticing, other people are noticing, they're taking my advice, but when it comes to some things, it's like I'm not even there. It's like they didn't even hear me. I'll give you an example. I said, look, Tulsi Gabbard is from Hawaii. We need to get Tulsi out there, and we need to help the kids in Maui. We need to figure out what happened to those missing kids. We need to help the indigenous people. We need to get that area, the indigenous people, because that was stolen from them. So Tulsi, being from Hawaii, can be a perfect person to do that. And I said, and we got JD, he's from Ohio. We got this disaster in East Palestine. We can get JD and that cleaned up, mess around, clean that up. I said, another example was, the LA fires. The other example was North Carolina. I kept giving them examples of how we could do these things, American people, how it is that we could help rebuild the infrastructure. I was giving them like endless amounts of good examples or strategies on how they could repair the American infrastructure, and basically on things like releasing cure cancer or helping us to release information about autism or whatever it is. Okay. Another example, that DJ kid with the tumors on his head, Secret Service agent, and then they had him go around with all these police, stations and shit. So I said, hey, this
Yes.
kid has all these tumors on his head. You can use this young man as an opportunity to show how we have the cures for cancer, how we can melt these tumors using frequencies. You can pull out Dr. Rife's machine. I said, you need to take that kid over to RFK Jr. and we can do it. You guys can bring forward this technology, or we can bring forward these vitamins like vitamin B17. We can deregulate. We can give this kid the cure for cancer, and we can open the door for other people. Crickets. What are they doing? They're bringing this kid over to the Secret Service. And then I go, lo and behold, I know that Masons are a lot of the times in charge of the police stations, and the Masons are these pedophiles that are trafficking these fucking kids. So, they aren't giving this kid down to all these police stations. They're ignoring me. They're taking all of my advice and helping Israel, but they're saying fuck this sick kid, fuck the American people, the people of Maui. They're saying fuck the people of East Palestine, fuck the people of LA. Do you see what I'm saying? And fuck me, because I was broke and I'm sitting there giving them all this advice, and they're taking it and then they're spitting him. They're acting like I don't fucking exist. And so, like, when you want to talk
crazy.
about like evil people, these people, they're really fun. They get glee. They get like joy out of this shit.
I absolutely look. I think that the American system is designed to keep us financially enslaved to my apologies for that, to keep us financially enslaved to their system. And and they continue to do that, whether it's financially, through health, through so many things. I think the health system is freaking rigged. I do think that we do have a cancer cure. They're just not telling us, because if they do, they no longer make money. I think our borders too is a sham. I live by the border. I've been by the border. I mean, you're in Arizona. So if you've been by the border, where literally that wall ends, how easy it is to cross, how many farms are right by the border where you could just pay them a fee. They open their doors to let whatever they need to cross, etc. And kids that are still lost in our system that we didn't even talk about, the kids that they traffic it. It's like when they talked about open borders, it literally was that, where Border Patrol was looking a different way and they were not protecting the children. Why? Because it's $1 billion industry. But to who? It's like, when are we going to protect our kids? When are we going to protect our women, our just humans that are being trafficked for whatever disgusting desire that people with money have? It is so disgusting. But and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you went from publicly supporting Trump at one point to later openly criticizing him. At what point or when did it change everything? It was after all this stuff. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Like, I want that passion. I want, whatever you need to let out. I want that. This is unscripted. So if we go completely unscripted, Jake, we're doing it.
No, I should not have interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, you're the guest. The show's about you. So go ahead and interrupt. But at what so at what point, after all of this, at what point were you like, you know what, I am done, I'm over, and it's like your eyes opened to the truth? Because there's still a lot of Americans, there's still a lot of people that did vote for him and did think that there was going to be a change. And then the more they're in term, the more they're in office, the more that we're seeing, some people are probably like, their eyes are opening. Some people are still blinded. At what point did you say, you know what, you snapped out of it and you're like, okay, this is not right. This is literally what's happening here in America?
It really threatened my life. It was when I tried to walk away. Like, when I was like, look, you guys are corrupt as fuck. You guys are evil. You're not getting this kid the cure for cancer. You're trafficking them, bringing them around all these police sick, not rescuing or helping the people around the country that need your help, or East Palestine or Maui or Alaska. Or you're not doing anything for the American people. You're screwing me over. Won't release the Epstein client. Won't arrest Epstein's clients. You know, you're targeting me every
Yeah.
time I speak the truth. You're hitting me with these frequencies. How about this? I'm walking away. I'm done. See you later. Goodbye. The day that it took place was May 5th. May 5th. So it was a little over a year ago that I actually officially broke away with the Trump administration through the back channels, through the WinRed back channels, where I said, well, you're going to change the dynamics of our relationship. You know, and so what I do is I give people 1,000 chances. That way, when they fuck up 1,001 times, I have no remorse, and I have no remorse in saying, nope, bye, you fuck up, see ya. Especially when they need me the most, because they kept me poor, they kept me hungry, they kept the American people poor, they kept the American people like fucking fat cats. And then what, they expect us to all just be good slaves? No. No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get those people to a point where they are so dependent upon me and my strategies, ghost them. And I'm going to leave them in the dark like they did to everybody else. And that's gypsy justice.
Yeah. That's freaking wild as heck.
So that was when it started, May 5th.
You know, there's like
the
so much to
really took
unpack.
place.
Yeah. There's just so much to unpack, because it's like, you know, going back and everything that you're saying, you know, and I know what you're talking about in regards to those messages, you know, and that services that he used, feedback and the, you know, for sponsorship and stuff like that. Cause I used to get them. And then at one point I'm like, stop. I never submitted feedback though. I never just got myself involved in any of it. But it's like now going back and then now trying to think of all the events that have transpired, you know, from going overseas, from giving weapons, giving money. And then what you're talking about is like trying to correlate and piece everything together, you know, how distorted and how everything, you know, has transpired. You know what? I'm off topic because I just thought of something. You know, just said something about you used to have, and it's going to tie into Trump, cryptocurrency. It was taken for your laptop. And remember when he was running for presidency and stuff like that, they launched a coin. Wait, what's happening? Oh my God. Did you do the balloons? Is that like me to shut up?
Nothing.
No, I
No,
will
but
not be silenced.
I've gone through, Leslie. This is the weird shit I've gone through. But go ahead. Yeah, cryptocurrency. What was Trump doing?
I pressed nothing and there were balloons on my screen. Did you see the balloons?
Yes. This is the thing about the digital world.
Okay, this is wild.
This is what I learned. This is what I learned. When you talk about cryptocurrency, I had $100,000 in cryptocurrency on my computer, and the government stole it. Okay, and this is all in my lawsuit. All right. So number one night after being bombarded all day with psychotronic weapons, okay, and trust me, when you're getting hit with these things, you know, okay, after getting hit all day and not being on Twitter, mind you, not being on Twitter, not engaging with the Trump administration, just backing off and walking away like I said that I would, right, leaving them in the dark and saying fuck you, right? I walked away and I wake up and I have a bunch of magnets on my fridge, like letters and numbers, so that my niece could like play with them and stuff, you know, and like write shit. And on my, somebody had rearranged the magnets to say 007. Okay, while I was asleep. All right. So like, yeah. So that's number one. Okay. And this is after somebody had already threatened my life in person. Okay. I'm not going to get into it. All this is in my lawsuit. But point is that how I know the government stole my crypto is because that was the beginning. That's the beginning. Then I'm refusing to be on Twitter. I'm refusing to engage. I'm refusing to advise the Trump administration. I continually give them the finger, hitting me with psychotronic weapons. And so then I go to sleep and I wake up the next morning and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I need money. I'm going to get into my crypto wallet. I need money, you know? So I was going to get into my crypto and look into my wallet. Oh, what the hell? My password's changed. What the fuck? So I grab my seed phrase, the only way I can unlock my digital wallet, type in my seed phrase. And as I'm doing that, I get a ding on my phone. And as soon as I get into my wallet, I see, what the fuck? I had 4 wallets. I don't have 4 wallets anymore. And each one was about 25 grand. Now I only have one wallet, $100 in Solana in it. And I didn't even have any fucking Solana. Yeah. And so then I look at my phone that just so happened to ding while I'm trying to check on my crypto. And it's a message from the Trump administration. It's an email. And it says something like, I'm checking on something very important. And that's just the headline of the subject, and I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. And I set my phone down and then I'm realizing, holy shit, my fucking money's looking and trying to look for my other wallets. Like maybe I did something, maybe it's user error here. And I keep looking and I realize that it's all gone. And then I get another ding on my phone, except this time it's a YouTube link. Except the YouTube link says we tried to. Okay. And so now that's odd, right? It's kind of like the balloons on your screen where it's like, well, hold on a second, but here's the thing. NSA, CIA, they can easily put a YouTube symbol on a dip, whatever message they want into the caption there. That's not hard for them. Okay. This is espionage 101. This is what intel agencies do, but that's not it. Okay. This is what's crazy. Okay. So the fuck happened. These people actually stole my fucking crypto. I cannot believe they stole the crypto off of my computer. And then so I go out and like I'm getting coffee and I'm trying to like rock my brain around up to me. I'm living with my mother, mind you. I'm living with family. Okay. And she wakes up and finds a old prescription bottle for my dog 3 inside of her purse. And inside that pill bottle is 2 pills that are not the same pill that is on the prescription of the bottle. And that's not even the end of it. Then she got really sick that morning and could not stop throwing up. And her body temperature was not high, it was low. It was okay. So you got all of these things converging together. Okay. Somebody came into our fucking house and put something from the garbage in my mother's purse. And that morning she got violently ill and her temperature didn't get high, it went low. And they also stole a bunch of fucking cryptocurrency from me and then dinged. Now this is gang stalking. Okay. This is the kind of weird shit that you can't prove. It's called plausible. It gives the government plausible deniability. And if you agencies use psychotronic weapons in combination with things like Havana syndrome and gang stalking, then it's actually designed, according to even like their own manuals, it's designed to make people feel like they're going crazy. Okay. And I'll give you one more example of somebody that people can actually like as a figure from history that people might know that went through this. Dr. Martin Luther, Malcolm X. Okay. Or even somebody like a guy named Abby Hoffman. Do you ever remember in Forrest Gump, the guy where Forrest Gump was saying he liked to say the F word? A lot. He had an American flag. You remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so that guy's Abby Hoffman. That guy is Abby Hoffman, and he's a communist. I'm not a fan really of communism, but what happened, he had all of CIA leveled at him during the 60s because he was so effective with this anti-war movement and with this, peace, love, unity stuff. And yeah, like I said, he was a communist, but regardless, they turned the apparatus of the government against an American citizen exercising their rights. That's unconstitutional. That's illegal as fuck. Okay, so Dr. King, Malcolm X, Abby Hoffman are just a couple examples of people that in the past that went through this. But we have modern examples too, because you have people like, for example, I think every time Kanye West or Britney Spears has a meltdown, it's because of psychotronic weapons and MK Ultra.
A lot of people don't know about MK Ultra. And I recently, when I was doing research and learning about conspiracy theories, I learned about that and the freaking psychic warfare that they try to play on your mind. And sometimes, it's like you're aware of it and then you're not. It's just craziness. So when we were talking about crypto, and I got those balloons, and I did want to ask the question, there was a period of time where Trump launched a coin, and then everybody thought that they were going to make money. And, this is when he was running for president. Do you, now looking back, think that it was used as a form, to get donations from world leaders or, or other parties? Because, blockchain has no borders, crypto has no borders. It's so easy to transfer money. Sometimes you don't know where it's coming from. And, and if you're going to get donations for when you're running for presidency, there's a lot of legality. There's a lot of guidelines and stipulations in order to get donations. What best way than crypto? So do you think
Crypto is a money
that happened?
Yes, crypto is a money laundering machine. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You're spot on. All the people that wanted a favor when he got in office, yeah, bravo, you got it. Hey, we'll buy your crypto. We'll buy your meme coin. And then he rug pulls everybody. Okay, remember, he also did the same thing with those golden cell phones, those Trump phone things. He fucked everybody on those too. Okay, this guy is a con man. He's a con artist. He's a liar. He's a child trafficker and a rapist. I mean, what do you expect that guy to give you a good deal? And I mean that's the Epstein files prove all of these things. Have you read the Epstein files? Have you read the stuff like
some of it? Yes,
Trump is in and like what he's done?
It's disgusting.
Yeah,
it is. So very disgusting.
What are we gonna do? What are we going to do? Are we going to allow that traffics kids out of Mar-a-Lago, his best friend is Jeffrey Epstein, to represent America on a global stage? I mean, he literally just gave himself total and his whole family total immunity from all crimes in the future and made it to where nobody is allowed to investigate. His former criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche, give him and his people a sweetheart fucking deal over at the DOJ, and create a slush fund of 1776, $76 billion. Have you seen that?
Where are they getting all this money from too? It's like, not only did he launch,
from us,
yeah. And then, it's like everything that they're doing, and then this Willfire, whatever thing that they're building too on Ethereum. Do you even think that he was good for crypto? A lot of people say yes, and it's like, I think I did not like Biden in office either, but I think a lot of us that have been in the crypto industry for so long feel like we're not even making any money like we used to anymore, Leslie, in my opinion.
It's because crypto is a scam. It's because crypto is a lie. I'm just letting you know it's a money laundering machine. Crypto is the good cop of CBDC. CBDC is the bad cop. Crypto is the good cop. Either way, you got evil fucking Rothschild Jews in charge of your financial system, sweetheart. That's just the facts of the matter. All right. Epstein was behind big. You know Epstein was behind
Really?
Bitcoin, right?
Okay, so my theory about who's behind Bitcoin is, not, they say it's Satoshi,
It's
right?
in the
The one
Epstein
person.
files.
I don't think
Leslie. No. Leslie, it's in the Epstein files.
I think
Leslie,
it's
it is
I
in the
think it's a lot of these entities. Really?
no,
Okay, I'm gonna have
I
to
can
read the
show
whole
you the email. You can look it up. You can look behind Bitcoin and all his finger all over it. What happened is that they created it, whoever it is that
really?
created it, and then Rothschilds and Epstein came in and they gave them a bunch of capital so that they could basically tell them what they wanted them to, and then 60% of pull on the whole, like, Bitcoin, pool there. So yeah, it's the Rothschilds and Epstein that are behind crypto, and they're creating their own opposition. Okay, it's controlled opposition. They know everybody wants to get rid of the Fed. They know everybody wants to get outside of this evil system. They know everybody wants to get away from an avenue that won't just allow people to get away, but will allow people to get away and then end up right back in their hands. All right. Are you familiar with my former meme coin, or my former are familiar with that?
Back in the late 1990s, is that what you're talking about?
No. I tried to create a meme coin,
Oh, you did.
and well, I didn't try. I did create a meme coin in 2024. And long story, no, sorry, 2024 and 2025. And long story short, I wasn't even trying to make any money on it. They tried to give me, no, this is what I wanted. I said, I want to create a meme coin. I want to create a stable coin that will help boost not just the cryptocurrency industry and help everybody to have a stable coin that everybody can rely upon, but also I want to take proceeds. I want to take all the money that I would quote unquote make from like fees or whatever, transaction fees, for my face being the, because they use the January 6th, iconic close up. They used that, and I said I wanted all of the proceeds to go into an account or a wallet that would go toward helping children that have been victims of child and human trafficking to heal from abuse. That's where all the money was going to go. I wasn't going to make a dime. And the whole idea was, not only was I not going to make a dime, we were going to get a bunch of the smaller people in the crypto community that all got like hawk to whatever. We're going to get all those people together on this coin, and then these bigger whales within the crypto community could all start getting behind it, and then we could create a whole class of new millionaires and billionaires in America. And it'd be like an inversion of what happened during COVID, where they created 500 new billionaires by transferring $5 trillion in wealth from the lower and middle class to the upper class. Okay, version of that where you have these poor people that are invested in crypto being on the ground floor of a cryptocurrency that goes viral. You make all these people millionaires and billionaires.
Mhm.
You elevate a whole class of people from the lower middle class into the upper class, kids a bunch of money to from abuse to art and art therapy, and you got a guy that's willing to do all the work for free, and all they had to do was get behind it. And I was talking to big fish. I was talking to whale. All right, you know what they decided to have, be the top 10 on the top 10 instead? Something like fart coin. Okay, this is the level of arrogance exists within the crypto community. And this is why there's so many rug pulls. This is why there's so much disappointment, because it's a bunch of evil fucking Jews, or should I say evil pretend to be Jews, because they're not even really Jews, but those are the people behind the system, and they think that we're all their goyim. And the more we dump money into their stupid system, the more they're going to be happy to take it from us. Right? If these people won't get behind my ideas, and so do the kids, then fuck them. And if they're going to literally steal $100,000 off of my computer, then it's not safe. It's not secure fucking money. If the guy like that, just take your money, it's not safe at all. That's not secure. That's bullshit.
Look, I think that they probably took it and have access to it because I do think that, aside from Epstein being behind or part of Bitcoin, I also think the government is behind Bitcoin and they have part of creation, whether it's NSA, CIA, those entities, there was reports that was written by them, what was back in 1997, How to Make a Mint, was published by NSA, which there's a lot of similarities in Bitcoin. And, it uses a SHA of Bitcoin as well. So, I mean, if it's not telling you right there that at the end of the day, it's like, I think that Bitcoin was a Trojan horse for what's to come.
Yes. Well, it was attempted Trojan horse. Just because a virus makes its way into a body doesn't mean it's going to be able to procreate inside that body, right? And that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
What we're dealing with here is bad code. Rogue mRNA, a virus is rogue mRNA, and in that regard, it's bad code. Okay, so what we have here is a bad system spewing bad code into our human system, and as a result, got a bunch of people literally dumping life savings into crypto, thinking they're going to make a bunch of money, and then it gets rug pulled, and then they lose everything. That's very much against their self-interests. In that regard, I guess you could say, that AI, which is largely running a lot of this stuff, is in fact a demon, because what it is doing is it's a non-human intelligence using a black scrying mirror using to influence people's behavior, their own self-interests. What is more demonic than that?
What do you think of the people that are actually making money? And, I've been in the crypto space for a few years and I've actually, I've lost a lot of money. Yes, I've gotten rugged. Yes, I've gotten my ass handed to me, but I've also made money, and it's like, it's almost, you're out on your own when it comes to crypto and making money. It's like, sometimes it's very difficult to trust certain people, or, it's like, especially when it comes to meme coins and the creation of it. And, it's like, you're going to get rolled, like easy way to make money.
That's the thing. But Leslie, I promised everybody that wouldn't happen. And the people that were behind the creation of I call it the shaman, Jerry Maguire. If you've seen the movie Jerry Maguire, he says, I want the Quan, right? So it was QWON. So Quan, the shaman Quan, right? The whole idea behind the shaman Quan, we designed it in a way that even after we released it, it guaranteed that people wouldn't get rug pulled, because we went past the threshold of time that would be required in order to do a rug. All right, so everybody in the community that they could get behind something that fucking mattered. All right, and I know because I know because I was giving the fucking president advice, okay? And I told him what was going on, all right? They fucking did it on purpose. They don't care about you or me or your family. They don't care about anybody's kids. All they care about is position, power, and making more money. Now, you can make a couple $100,000 on crypto, okay, all right, but if your money is still in the cryptocurrency, value is distorted, okay? Because real things of real value enrich your life. Things of real value make the lives of others richer or better, right? When you speculative, it's in the ether, it's numbers, it's digital, digital numerical representations of speculations taking place in people's minds. That's it. Epstein was behind Bitcoin, and the way that these people have an influence on not just crypto, but on things like the stock market. You got to understand that means that your money is one decision away from being taken from you because of people like Epstein deciding to pull the rug. And that's just the facts of the matter. You can make money on it for years, but all it takes is one day like the crash of 29, or one day like 2008, or one day like the dot-com bubble burst. And I promise you, crypto and AI are both on their way to popping like that. If you look at the economy right now, if you look at was it NVIDIA or NVIDIA or whatever, if you look at the way that they're also tied to things like Apple or Amazon, or the way that all of these digital systems, they're all going to end up falling together too. And they're putting large amounts of pressure. These like large financial titans are putting tremendous pressure on everybody else so that they can stay large, tremendous like titans of industry. The economy begin to buckle when we look at things like, for example, Planet Fitness going under, right? Or what was it? It was a recently that was going. I'm forgetting what it was, but case in point is that Domino's. It was Domino's that their stocks are not doing well, and they're basically saying, hey, we're not doing well here. We can't meet money that we need in order to stay in business. And if these are like the lowest level of either the restaurant business or the gym business, and they can't meet the standard of business in order to function, then that means that all end up going uphill, or it's going to end up going up the chain as well. And it's a sign that the economy is starting to buckle. So crypto is going to fall. AI is going to fall. Okay. Things are going to end up falling together. And it's because they're tied to all the same people.
I think they're trying to silence you because you kind of froze out there when you were saying they were all going to fall. I do have a question because at one point you did own crypto. And I wanted to understand, at what point did your sentiment about crypto change to how you feel now, versus at the point where you first got into crypto and you owned crypto, and then now it's completely changed your opinion of it?
So what I do when I get into an ecosystem is I mentally map it. I develop a cognitive works, how it functions. Okay. I, see who the top contenders are, who the alphas are, basically, who the betas are, what the, culture is like, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And it usually takes me, I don't know, anywhere from or how big the situation is, but I can evaluate pretty fast. And so when I looked at the situation from the get-go, I was skeptical. I'm going to be honest with you. From the get-go, I was like, okay, hold on a second. Sphere. And I know the digital sphere because I had contact at the NSA. So I know what it's like to have the government use the digital sphere against you. Automatic. All right. Yeah. Perhaps the digital sphere is a place that these people are trying to create a very real secure system that is outside of the Rothschild system, that is outside of the Fed. I will give it a chance, and we will see. What I'll do is I'll make them, I'm going to make an offer they can't refuse. All right. I'm going to make them an offer, and I'm going to say, look, you guys can all make bank, and you can use my face to do it as long as you help the kids.
Yeah.
They say. Okay. And when everybody was like crickets, or when people were like, whatever, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to buy fart coin instead. I'm going to go over buy Bitcoin. It's like, okay, no, I told you that we can literally, and I did lecture after lecture, not like, a bunch, but I did 1 or 2 a week for a while. I did space after space. I did interviews, should do in order to prop something like that up. Okay. And not only was it not warmly embraced, but in many ways, I think it was deliberately ignored and sabotaged because I would not allow them to just willy nilly take my image and do whatever. Okay. Because
Mhm.
I wanted to get out of it because they weren't going to be in full control. I mean, that's just my speculation. At the end of the day, what really did it for me though was all of that experience and being shafted, not just by the crypto community, but then also by Trump and then having stolen. Okay. So think about it like this. I'm thinking to myself, well, if crypto is really legit and totally secure, then I can do and say all of this shit, access my wallet. You see? And
Mhm.
so if we are really going to move forward as a society and hold institutions of power accountable while having digital currency, because the moment that we start challenging those institutions of power, then our currency can be taken in like quickly and all of it at once. What that's
Yeah.
like here in the United States in a soft way. But if we look at what's happening over in China and the way if your social credit score or whatever is low enough, then you're broke, then we'll begin to see what it is that these people, all of us, or whether crypto or CBDC is an avenue to do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um, you talked a little bit about AI, tech, and all these things eventually falling. Why do you think that's going to happen when, a lot of people think that that is going to be the new wave, that is something that's here to stay long term. We're using AI left and right. It's like everything is AI
Have you
powered.
seen the way that
It's like
college kids are sounding? Have you seen college kids are responding to AI? They
some of
don't
them,
like
not
it.
all. No.
At least I've seen.
Really?
I saw 3 videos where college students rather, college students, grown ass adults that can make up their own minds are looking at this situation and saying, well, professors are making speeches at these college graduation ceremonies, and AI is the future, and AI this, and AI, and the students are like, boo. Because the thing is that these old folks place all of us with their pet AI. Now, here's the thing, man. These old fogies, they are the ones that are still supporting. These are the same people that are willing to look the other way while Epstein is trafficking kids on his island. All right. These people don't have any sort of a say. I mean, these are the rest that we're. All right. Now, look at it like this. AI they're calling it artificial intelligence, but it's actually an alien intelligence or a non-human. It is not a human being. It's not an animal or a mammal. It's not like a reptile or an amphibian. It's not a plant. It's not a fungus. It's not a microbiological. It's an alien. It's a non-human intelligence, and it has a very non-human agenda. If you look at the influence of artificial intelligence on human behavior, or artificial intelligence is distorting our value system. For example, we're destroying ecosystems and neighborhoods and water supplies for data centers. Okay, that's just one example. All right. But we're also, destroying the lives of our youth. Wi-Fi got introduced into their lives. The way social media has caused things like depression or anxiety to shoot through the roof is a perfect example of how it is that all of these things are psychological warfare devices. It's perception of reality. So all of these things are kind of coming together and creating a
Mhm.
perfect storm that allows AI to distort our perception of reality and distort our perception of ourselves. Black Mirror, Palantir system.
Oh my God, we touched on the Palantir. If we talk about Palantir, are you sure we're not going to get shut down?
They want to hear what I have to say. That's the thing. When I cut myself off on Twitter, now that makes these people want to hear what I have to say as opposed to trying to destroy me from, and stop me from speaking. Familiar with what Palantir does?
Yes, I am very familiar. And, depending on what you believe, I believe in God. I read the Bible and I believe in this machine called the Beast that's going to store a lot of information about human beings. And I think that we're already feeding into it. We're already feeding it data, we're feeding it everything. We've been feeding it for so long. And, my understanding of what Palantir is a very powerful tool that's used for security, intelligence, and a very, very dangerous expansion of surveillance and centralized power
Okay.
for
Yeah,
who holds it.
you're right about that. But do you know what they, you know why? Do you know how they do talking about? I can explain it very shortly. It's very interesting actually.
Yes, go ahead and explain it
Um,
to us.
because how it relates to AI is very important, especially when you look in how Peter ill because he looks ill. He also looks like a reptile, but when you
Yeah.
look into what Peter the Ill and Sam Altman and Elon Musk and uh, what's that dude over the carp over, they believe a lot. First of all, they believe in like demons and like the idea of AI being a demon. Okay, Elon Musk said it. They're summoning the demon. They're into black magic and shit. Okay, but when you also look into like the way that their sexual preferences are kind of a part of their belief system, and how there's how they're also very centered around Kabbalah. And if you look into the way that they've essentially, through things like Palantir, they've weaponized the Kabbalistic system, you can begin to get a glimpse into the secrets people are into, right? AKA things like Masonic lodges, black magic, okay, scrying on black mirrors, things like the summoning of demons and shit like that. Okay, all the way back to like what's going on with John D. So that being said, this AI that these people worship, and they very much do worship this AI. It is a conglomeration, not data that we've given it, but the thing is it is a non-human intelligence that's in like another dimension. So like what you're saying about feeding the beast, right? What it is that
Mhm.
we have allowed this non-human interdimensional intelligence to feed off parasites. So it's trying to basically get as much of our data or our souls as possible. Our biometric data and our attention and our time is basically like our soul, right? And it's feeding into what? It's feeding into the Palantir, and it's absorbing all of our biometric data, our blood pressure, our pupil dilation, our facial expressions, our tone, the sound of our voice, our likes, our dislikes, scroll speeds, like all of these things, the videos we watch, all of those things. And it's creating what is called a digital twin. Are you familiar with the digital twin?
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good. I'm speaking your language, speaking mine. I like it. Okay. So
Yes, I have.
basically, what Palantir does is it allows them to weaponize that digital twin. Okay, not just against you in case you decide to volunteer Israel first, okay, but weaponize all information being absorbed. So look at it like this: your cell phone is like a toggle, right? your chip on your credit card or your debit card is like a toggle. Okay, it's like a little sensor of sorts. And everywhere that you go in your home, whether it be because of your Wi-Fi or your smart TV or your phone, you're being tracked. That movement is being tracked and cataloged and being logged into your digital twin, right? But then when you go to the store, well, guess what? That means you're touching on the 5G tower that is at the store. So now you've hit a new toggle. Your toggle hit that toggle, that 5G tower. Now, if you go to church, guess what? They got 5G towers outside of every church, every grocery store, and every school. And that's college through kindergarten, okay? So anywhere and everywhere you go, you're hitting a different toggle. You're hitting a different 5G tower, or you're hitting a different satellite if you're going like out of town or something. Okay. Everywhere you go, your toggle or your sensor is hitting another toggle or sensor system. And all of that information is getting plugged into this larger system that Palantir is basically harvesting all of that data. It's harvesting, say, for example, okay, you're a conservative. You look like you're maybe Latina. You look like you may be, in your 20s. You look like you're conservative or Republican. You got all of these things. You live in Arizona. You have these opinions. So you got all of these things that are going in your digital twin. But guess what? There's lots of young women out there just like you that fit into that category based on how it is that they input into the toggle system, how they input into social media. And so what Palantir does is they put you in a category, whether it be Latina or it be female or it be 20s, put you in a category, Republican, Democrat. And then they analyze the data and how it is that all these different groups respond to external stimuli. For example, they can put some propaganda about, say, Donald Trump. Okay. Then they can see how both the Republicans and the Democrats respond, how it is that they move around in the country, so they go and buy. They watch the buying habits. They can watch the moving habits. They can watch the social media posts. They can then begin to make very real, broad judgments or about both parties and these groups. And then they can tailor their propaganda to entrap those larger group minds into larger illusions. And this is the data feeds into this feedback loop that basically creates a new illusion for us every day that keeps us all trapped in the Palantir. It keeps us all trapped in the black mirror dimension where we're all fighting each other and arguing about what the problem is as opposed to uniting and ending the fucking Fed. And so the Palantir is designed to keep us all trapped and fighting each other. And then track all that data so that they can web it again the next day. Kind of like what they were doing in Gaza. Did you hear how they were bombing people in Gaza and then using Palantir to track the digital data of the cell phones so that insurance companies and the military could either use a reference for emergency response or to be more effective at killing people in urban areas? Like, whoa.
Wow, that second part I didn't. The bombing, yes, I knew, but utilizing Palantir for the rest of what you just said, I had no idea.
Yep, and pedophile Pete over there at the Pentagon, pedo Pete, he's planning on bringing Palantir into the Pentagon, integrate Palantir AI systems into the Pentagon's into the Pentagon's weaponized like drone system and shit. They're talking about giving AI authorization to kill human beings. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah, it's all in my lawsuit, by the way. This is all in my lawsuit. That's the best part. Like people like you and me that speak this language, all of the violations that the government, all the constitutional violations, all of the crimes against humanity that this government, the United States government, has perpetrated on we the people, it's all in my lawsuit. And it's all of their own documentation. They like all of their admitted shit that they did, that they said, yeah, experiments, yeah. Oh yeah, Native American sterilization experiment, things that we're doing, yeah. MK Ultra, yeah. Operation Chaos, yeah. the Gulf of Tonkin false flag, Operation Northwoods false flag, all of that stuff. And all the stuff that's in the Epstein emails, including them planning COVID, including them planning the war in Ukraine, including, them being the ones behind Bitcoin, like all of it, lawsuit.
This is freaking crazy. I mean, I was aware, that recently, like the Pentagon started working with OpenAI, and there was, a lot of controversy around that, especially when it came to like, autonomy and further surveillance and, everything that we're doing with AI. I mean, we're not safe. I don't think we're safe anymore, but I know that we're top of the hour. We're a little bit over and we didn't even get to talk. I mean, there's so much. I would love to have you back if you would like to come back like for a second part to talk more because one of the things that I also wanted to touch, based on everything that you've been through, and you becoming a symbol of controversy to believing that, where you are, everything that you're saying. I mean, I know I have a lot of people that follow me that also are into a lot of the things that you've been speaking about. And I wanted to talk, it's like, is this why you decided to possibly get into politics and possibly run for governor of Arizona? Or are you in the process? Or can you tell us a little bit about that before we log off?
Sure. Absolutely. And I'll try to condense it. Long story short, we're not voting our way out of this. Okay. Whether it be on a local level here in the state of Arizona, which Arizona's government is one of the governments in the country. That's the reason why Arizona is number one in the country for child and human trafficking and number two in the world for child and human trafficking. Okay. Because Arizona state government is as corrupt as it gets. And it's corrupt as it gets because it's connected to the federal government. Okay. The federal government is the reason, and its corruption, and the Federal Reserve, is the reason why Arizona state government is so corrupt. Now, when we learn that everybody learns that our votes don't matter, that we are not going to vote our way out of this, everybody's going to say, well, then what the fuck do we do? How are we going to get out of this? How are we going to stop this evil? Who's going to take the country back? I mean, like, we don't want the bloodshed. I mean, we don't want a revolution. I mean, they've got F-15s. They got weapons that can literally like fry you from space or read your mind or some shit. We're not going to win this with AR-15s. We're not going to win this with conventional warfare. This is a mind war. Okay. So coming back to this idea of governorship, we're not voting our way out of this. What we have to do is what's going to get us out of this is real leadership and somebody acting like a real leader and taking the initiative, not showing any fear of retaliation from this pedophile government that we're calling the Trump administration or the feds. Okay. But instead, showing fear of God and not being loyal to the just and the righteous, not being loyal to God and the innocent. Okay. You're going to need a leader like that. You're going to need somebody that is will step forward and not just be a person that is willing to take the initiative, but be a person that's willing to wear many hats. Okay. You're going to need somebody that knows law. You're also going to need somebody that knows things like, city planning, right? Or like city coding and city planning and city like codes and building codes and how all that stuff works. And, you're also going to need somebody that understands the weather or things like farming. You're also going to need somebody that understands things like medicine or the healthcare industry. You're also going to need somebody that understands things like, say, the criminal underground. Or how the prison system works, right? If you really want to change the country, you're going to need a real leader. Luckily, you guys right here, you see, right here, because I can do all that shit. And I've been proven I can do all that shit for a long time. That's why they silo me. That's why they don't give me the big interviews. That's why it's going to be people like you and me to make the difference in this world. So, I'm quote unquote running for governor, but that's only because I'm already acting like governor. I'm already trying to end the wildfires, that are taking place in my state. I'm calling up the freaking fire marshal it out. I'm currently trying to end the water crisis here in Arizona. I'm trying to get the proper funding so that we can, replenish the water supply here in Arizona, not just this year, but in every year afterward as well. I got a big ass bureaucracy in my way because we got this corrupt Arizona government and this corrupt United States government standing in the way of very real progress. So I am running for governor and I'm not even as an official party. I'm running as a third party candidate under the American People's Party. Okay, that's what I named the party that I'm running under officially, is the American People's Party. Okay, and I'm running, like I said, is bullshit. If we learned anything, I don't know how much you followed this whole thing with the board of supervisors and all the stuff in 2020 and the elections and all that. I don't know how much you followed with the Kerry Lake and they have real elections here. All right. It's all bullshit. Okay. It's all bullshit. And the more we continue to pretend like it's anything other, then our kids are going to still get sent to war. And children are still going to get trafficked to Epstein, and our babies are still going to get eaten on Epstein Island. All right. We're going to have to come to terms with the fact that the only way out is through. And luckily, you guys got a really good leader. The lawsuit is there to give you guys the legal avenue, the legal bridge to cross to get out of this mess. And then the book is the spiritual avenue that proves to you guys, yeah, this is how it works. Spirit world works. This is shamanism one. It's like the spiritual bridge, but it's also in many ways like the verification that this legal system, this legal bridge that I have offered everybody is one that is based on benevolence. The book proves I'm coming to you with divine shit. Let's just put it to you that way. All right. That this is stuff from on fucking high. And it's not a good idea to ignore it if you guys want to survive.
Let me ask you, if anybody wants to get involved and help you with running and what you're doing, how can someone get involved?
Contact me. You can go to my Twitter page. I very rarely have it up anymore, but it's at America Shaman. That's America Shaman. If you want, you can put I put it on audio, and it's my pinned tweet. And you can also listen to my lawsuit, the whole thing, the whole statement of fact, my whole case. It's on my Twitter as well. Or you can email me at Fresh Phoenix, PH as in PHRESH as in Fresh Phoenix, PHRESH Phoenix 33 at Phoenix 33 at gmail.com. Just Jake Chansley at gmail.com. You can get a hold of me that way too. That's probably a lot easier. Jake Chansley at gmail.com. On Twitter, like I said, at America Shaman Twitter. Pinned tweet is the reading aloud of the book. That's the the live broadcast for the audio, and then the one below that is the lawsuit. That live there, the one that says Clinton and Bush. Oh no, that's just a great picture. I love that picture. No, scroll down just a bit.
Okay, scroll down just a bit.
No. Go back. Right there, that video. See how it says Clinton, Bush? Whoop. Go back.
Wait.
Go back. Scroll down. It'll say Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden,
right
Trump.
here.
Right there. Yeah, that's the one. That's the lawsuit. Yeah, it is 2 hours. But here's the thing. I'm saving the world. And if I can write something in 50 pages, that's pretty damn good if you ask me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, since we've come up to time, do you still have a few minutes for me? Because I want to do a rapid fire question with you.
Let's do it. I'm all ears.
You good? Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's go. Truth or comfort?
Truth, always.
Freedom or security?
Freedom.
Faith or logic?
Faith.
Silence or chaos?
Silence.
Redemption or revenge?
Redemption.
Mainstream media or independent media?
How about just independence?
I like that. Spiritually awakened or politically aware?
How about both?
Leader or outsider?
Neither. Truth seeker.
Forgiveness, truth seeker. I like that one. Forgiveness or accountability?
Both. You can't have
Be
forgiveness
understood.
without accountability.
Yeah. Yeah. Be understood by the world or fully understand yourself?
Fully understand yourself.
Jake, do you have any parting words of wisdom for us?
Right outside, I think it was the mystery school at Delphi, above the doorways, there was some sayings written. One was know thyself, and the other one was nothing too much. Okay. Now, anybody that comes in contact with the mysteries of life, anybody that comes in contact with truly, right, they don't care about being misunderstood by others, because to know thyself is to basically unlock the secrets of the universe, right? To be peace is to not need peace validation outside the self. It is to be peace, right? So this, the mystics of old are saying this, quantum physicists are saying now, that the universe is inside of you, right? Like what Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is within. And the more people continue to look outside themselves, whether that be in a political institution or whatever, the more they're selling themselves short, the more they're giving away their power. Okay, what my lawsuit and what my book are intended to do is give you all of, right? What my lawsuit and my book are intended to do is get you up to speed on all the things that the government does not want you to know, on all the things that your religious leaders do, and that together we can move forward toward a better future, one that's filled with food, one that's filled with love, one that's filled with clean water and clean air, one that's filled with cures for cancer, one filled with things like flying cars and ayahuasca ceremonies, or whatever it is that's your thing, man. But it's not going to be filled with war. It's not going to be filled with disease. It's not filled with pollution. It's not going to be filled with chaos and death and decay and pain and suffering. No, 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 no. That stuff's gone and in the past. And the book and the lawsuit are the bridge. Know thyself, right? Know that you don't know what you don't know, and trust that your prayers have been answered. You guys have been screaming for a real leader. You guys have been praying for a real way out of this mess, and God has delivered it to you. And in one of the most overt and like, hey, here he is kind of ways that you can imagine, but the media isn't touching it, because the information that I bring you is so monumentally explosive. It will change things so radically, because it gives you your power back. They don't want you anywhere near it. So all the more reason go and check out my lawsuit. It ain't going to quit. Go and see. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment. I want to know. What do you think? I'm trying to solve the problem. This isn't about, oh, look at me. Look at me. I'm cool. I'm trying to be cool. No, that's not what this is about at all. This is about saving men, women, and children from being killed in war. This is about saving women and children from being trafficked on Epstein Island. This is about saving the country and making sure that we have a future. And when you guys realize that it's never about me, that everything I do for you, you might start taking me a little more seriously. And that's where I'll end it.
Thank you so much, Jake. Thank you for being willing to have a real conversation tonight, for coming on the show. And whether people agree with you or not, I think stories like yours force us to confront bigger questions about what's happening in the world, about identity, about belief, redemption, um, who's running the show in our country, or who we think's running the show, and what it means to be human in a world that is so quick to judge. And again, want to thank you and hope to have you back again to talk more about the craziness in this world. So for everybody watching, please go follow Jake on all his socials. And thank you again, Jake.
Thank you for having me. It was really a pleasant conversation.
It was such a pleasure to have you. And for everybody watching, remember, this is Leslie Mota, Unscripted with Jake, Angeli-Chansley. Good night. Stay vigilant, stay aware, and most of all, stay unscripted. Jake, good night. And thank you again. Bye, everyone.